this presentation, I integrate poetry, piano improvisation, and reflective narratives to explore heartful evocative autoethnography as a reflexive practice of living inquiry. Like a bricoleur, I use a variety of art forms to evoke and examine my pedagogical reflections, questions, and meaningful moments experienced in my teaching. To illustrate the emergent ways of engaging with autoethnographic research, my work is situated within post-qualitative inquiry and deeply inspired by evocative poetic forms of writing. My auto is rendered through the lens of artography as I examine my praxis as an arts-based educational researcher. The ethno context of my autoethnographic story is drawn from my ongoing experiences of exploring curriculum as living inquiry and reflexive inquiry with the graduate students in the education program. As artistic expression of my praxis, my graphy is represented through music, poetry, and visual reflected narratives to practice creative approaches to writing autoethnography. As a pianist, teacher, and researcher, examining my auto through the lens of artography invites me to connect and reconnect to what I love about piano playing, A, for poiesis as an artist and pianist, and the ways in which orthographical approach to practicing autoethnographic living inquiry, R, for theoria as a researcher, can inspire, inform, and create new meaningful teaching and learning experiences, T, for praxis as a teacher. When I'm improvising, my inner being quietly connects and converses with my own sounding world. Music leads me to live a life of awareness, a musical life that mindfully sets out to being in a new way. As I practice improvising, I am recreating new space and time to be and become attuned to my own musical self, to keep churning and returning to my inner, truer self. One of my favorite definitions of reflexivity comes from Hertz. Reflexivity is an ongoing conversation about experience while simultaneously living in the moment. Practicing reflexive living inquiry through autoethnography encourages me to keep on searching for more meaningful, embodied ways of inspiriting students' creativity, imagination, and curiosities for teaching and learning. Autoethnographic living inquiry inspires me to keep practice living in the moment, to be present, to be and become more in pedagogical presence with students. Cultivating ongoing conversation about our shared lived and living experiences breathe new ways of listening to each other's worlds. It moves us to discover and rediscover more heartful ways of being with one another. Writing creatively with texts, images, and sound keeps me in the ongoing process of committing to artistic forms of engagement that celebrate uncertainties, complexities, and beauties of artful ways of living. Practicing autoethnography through the lens of artography with piano improvisation, writing poetry, and exploring the lights with photography and digital collage inspires me to continue searching for new ways of connecting and reconnecting to what brings more joy, meanings, and creativity in my life. In sharing my artistic practices that bring me closer to my authentic, essential self, my intent and hope is to invite and support students in discovering their own life stories with their students, and to create and recreate more shared, reflexive narratives to become more attentive, caring, and open to new possibilities for teaching and learning with one another. In creatively writing about our lived experiences, we can seek renewed sense of questioning, curiosity, and wonder about what it means to teach and learn. Discovering and rediscovering what brings us more joy to what moves our hearts. Continuing to practice writing and rewriting self. Always in the process of being and becoming closer to ourselves, to who we are, one moment, one story at a time. Inspired by heartful Autoethnography, orthography, and heart of pedagogy, I am practicing heartful Autoethnographic Living Inquiry with ART, inspired by orthography. Heartful teaching and learning can encourage us to listen to our hearts, foster flexibility, and trust and invite creativity and creative living. For me, heartful Autoethnographic Living Inquiry leads me to keep learning alongside with students, to open myself to co-create, co-design, and co-participate together in mutual relational practice of being and becoming more reflexive educators and inquirers with one another. Toward recreating more meaningful moments that move, breathe, and inspirit our hearts, the art of inquiry begins from and within our inner landscapes. To truly hear students' life worlds, I listen for their visible and invisible stories, voices, and ways of being and becoming. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to connecting with everyone in our upcoming ISAN 2024 to continue exploring possibilities for autoethnographic journeys infused with creativity, reflexivity, and heartful ways of transforming praxis.